Hello, everybody. Welcome back to What on Middle Earth, the podcast where I, Georgina, hello, nice to meet you all, where I work through Tolkien's works from the beginning, learn some things, talk about some things, discuss what's going on in this universe, and just give you a bit more background and context to Middle Earth, Arda, and all of the things within it. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the previous episodes if you listened to them. If not, and you're joining me for the first time, welcome also. I'm always happy to see new people listening to the podcast. I'm still figuring this thing out as I go along, but I'm sure there'll be a few different changes to the format and how I do this across time, but you know, we're giving it a go. We're having a shot at it, which is the main thing. So in the last episode we were talking about the Valar of the Valaquenta of the Silmarillion, that is, and who they are, what spheres of influence they cover, which is some of my favourite stuff to talk about. I love myths and legends from various periods of history, various cultures. So the gods of Arda and of Tolkien's world are just really, really interesting to me in general. So following on from that, in this episode, we are going to be talking about the lesser spirits. So previously in the last episode, we were talking about the Valar, who are the major spirits of Ilúvatar's thought. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about the Maiar. It's going to be another quick run through of the Maiar that we know of, at least, because as with the Valar, there are many, but most of them we don't know the names or what they do or who they serve. We only know of a handful. So let's dive straight into it and see what we can talk about here. So the Valar? Nope, the Maiar, who are the lesser spirits of Arda. They are the Valar's servants and their helpers, and the number of them is not known to the elves. Remember, the Valaquenta is the reckoning of the Valar and the Maiar from the eyes of the Eldar, who are the elves. As it says here, with the Valar came other spirits whose being also began before the world, of the same order as the Valar, but of less degree. These are the Maiar, the people of the Valar and their servants and helpers. Their number is not known to the elves, and few have names in any of the tongues of the children of Ilúvatar. For though it is otherwise in Aman, the Middle Earth, the Maiar have seldom appeared in form visible to elves and men. So we have a few different names here. The most important ones that we're told of in the Valaquenta are Ilmare, who is a handmaid of Vada, who, if you remember from last week, is the queen of the stars and the wife of Manwë, and very much beloved by the elves. She is the handmaid of Vada, and we also have Eonwe, who is the herald of Manwë. And as we know from the last episode, Manwë is the king of the Valar. He is the lord of the air and the birds, the sky. Everything that exists in the air is his domain. So Eonwe is his herald and his banner bearer. It says here, Eonwe, the banner bearer and herald of Manwë, whose might in arms is surpassed by none in Arda. But aside from that, it also mentions that of all the Maiar, Osse and Uinen are best known to the children of Ilúvatar. But who are they exactly? Once again, they're married, Osse and Uinen. Osse is a vassal of Ulmo, who is, as we know, the lord of the water, the Valar who governs the oceans, the seas, all bodies of water on Middle Earth. And Osse loves the coasts, you know, where the water meets the land and laps up on the shore, isles, streams, and he also loves the wind of Manwë and the way it creates storms from the water. It even says here, he rejoices in the winds of Manwë, for in storm he delights, and laughs amid the roaring of the waves. So he's a little bit chaotic, if we want to say that. He loves the roiling of the oceans, and I mean, I don't want to say he doesn't like the calm, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's all about the drama, you know. And then we have Uinen, who is the Lady of the Seas, and I love the way they describe her here. It says, his spouse is Uinen, the Lady of the Seas, whose hair lies spread through all waters under the sky. It's like her hair is the waves or the seaweed or the current, if you would like, that pushes and pulls you in under the water. All creatures she loves that live in the salt streams, and all weeds that grow there. To her mariners cry, for she can lay calm upon the waves, and she restrains the wildness of Osse. So where Osse is chaotic, as we were just saying a few minutes ago, Uinen is there to rein him in and stop him from getting too excited. Which, you know, for someone with that strong of a personality and that strong of a leaning towards chaos, you know, you need a little balance. You know, this seems good to me. And it's also worth noting here that the Númenóreans, who once again we'll get to in another chapter, they are early men who receive blessings from the Valar, but we'll get there later on. The Númenóreans live in her protection, and they hold her in reverence equal to the Valar. So, you know, as much as Maiar are lesser spirits in terms of power and standing of the gods, that's not to say that the beings of Middle Earth think so. You know, where the elves love Varda, who is the queen of the Valar, the Númenóreans love Uinen, and they revere her. They are a nation of mariners, which makes absolute sense based on what we've just heard. So there's an interesting section here where they talk about Osse and Uinen and Melkor, of all things. And surprise, surprise, to absolutely nobody, Melkor hates the sea. What doesn't he hate that was created by the Valar? I really don't know. Does he like anything apart from doom and gloom and darkness? Who knows? So Melkor hates the sea because he cannot subdue it. He can't bring it under his control. It is wild. It moves to its own, you know, its own desires, its own will, and he cannot restrain it. And for that reason, he wanted Osse, the Maiar Osse, to be under his control. Which, if that ever happened, that would be quite a bad thing for the Valar, I would have thought, because knowing the chaos and the rage that we've just, well, maybe rage is the wrong word, but knowing the chaos that Osse seems to love, bringing him under Melkor's influence could have been terrible. Maybe we would have had, you know, early world tsunamis, for all we know, with Osse under his control. I think at this point, Osse actually had some leanings towards Melkor. Let's take a look at the section in the chapter here. Melkor hated the sea, for he could not subdue it. It is said that in the making of Arda, he endeavoured to draw Osse to his allegiance, promising to him all the realm and power of Ulmo, if he would serve him. So it was that long ago there arose great tumults in the sea that wrought ruin to the lands. But, of course, Uinen, at the prayer of Aule, restrained Osse and brought him before Ulmo, and he was pardoned and returned to his allegiance, to which he has remained faithful, for the most part, for the delight in violence has never wholly departed from him, and at times he will rage in his wilfulness, without any command from Ulmo, his lord. So, once again, his wife is like, no, stop this nonsense, you're not going with that guy, clearly he's a bad idea, he's a bad influence, get over here, go back to Ulmo, and all that stuff. And he learns, although he doesn't really have any of that rage leave him at any point. And Osse is also loved by mariners, both of them are, and he's also loved by those who dwell on the shore. That is his domain. as we mentioned earlier, the lapping of the waves on the shore and where the water meets the land. But as much as they love him, they do not trust him, which I don't blame them personally, knowing his personality and that kind of thing. So he is loved by many, trusted by few, we can say. Another Maiar who is absolutely worth noting and who will 100% come up later on in the Silmarillion, as I'm aware of it, is Melian. And she is a Maiar who served both Vanna and Este. That is the ever-young Vanna's the ever-young, right? And now I'm looking back in my notes, like, which one is which? One is the ever-young and one is the dancer. No, I'm wrong. Este is the healer. I got it wrong. So, Melian serves Vanna, the ever-young, and Este, the healer. So, she is very important, and I believe she is known as one of the most beautiful beings to ever live. She will have quite a huge influence on the elves on Middle Earth later on, as we come into the first age of the world. But that's a story for another day. Right now, she dwells in Lorien, or she did. She dwelt in Lorien, and she tends to the trees and the flowers. She's a gentle soul, gentle and very beautiful, and she'll be very important later on in the story. We also have some interesting information here about a Maiar called Olorin, who, if you know who Olorin is, maybe I won't spoil it. Maybe I'll leave that for later on. But Olorin is very wise. Olorin takes counsel from Nienna, who is the Lady of Grief, the Lady of Pity and Hope. And he learns from her pity and patience. And he is a friend to all of the children of Iluvatar. He loves them all. As I mentioned, he's also incredibly important. If you can think about it, and if you don't already know who Olorin is, let me know who you think it is, based on those criteria. So he takes counsel from Nienna, he is full of pity and patience, and he's a friend to all of the children of Iluvatar. Who do you think that might be? Let me know. All right, that was a quick rundown then. Very quick, even quicker than my Valar podcast episode, of an absolute handful of the Maiar, of which there are many. The most important ones that we should know about, because they will be coming up later on in the story, for various reasons and in various situations. And I can't wait to talk about them all with you. There are stories that include Osse and his dwelling on the shore and how that affects the migration of some of the peoples of Middle-earth. As I mentioned earlier, Melian is very, very important later on, and from her descend quite a few characters that you maybe already know or that we will come to know across the series. And once again, Olorin is very, very important and well loved, so hopefully we can get round to more of his doings as the time goes on. But for now, thank you so much for listening once again to this episode of What on Middle Earth. We'll be back next time with a bit of a look into the enemy for all intents and purposes. We've covered the gods, the good, the Valar, who look over all of life on Middle-earth and Arda. We have looked at the Maiar, whose intentions are good, and they serve the Valar in various ways and in various spheres of influence. But what about the enemy? We know of Melkor, but what about the others who are related to him and the related Maiar, for that matter? Thank you so much for listening, everybody. I really appreciate your time and your patience. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you are feeling about these episodes. And I will see you all in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.